Credit Union. Want to make sure to thank them again. By the way, if you haven't done so already and you're listening to us and you want to buy a car, go check them out online. You hear me saying the commercials. I say them almost every day of the week, and I say them because I believe them. These guys are simply the best in the business. They got rates as low as 1.9% for up to 60 months, and they are really out there and determined to earn your business, so I would encourage you to do it. And if you go to the dealerships, and I'll tell you, especially if you have good credit, here's a quick tip before we go to the questions here. If you have really good credit and you go buy a new car, the dealer's going to offer you a choice. It's like, you want mashed potatoes or French fries. You don't get both. You get one or the other. Do you want low interest financing or do you want the rebate? You can have $2,000 off the car, or do you want 1.9? Here's the smart way to do it. You get both. You go to Associated for the 1.9 and you tell the dealer, I'll take the rebate. That way you get your mashed potatoes and your French fries. You get both. Okay, so especially folks with really good credit, it's really important because they can come close to, if not beat, all the subvented rates from the manufacturers, and you'll get your rebates. So it will save you another $2,000 to $3,000, right? It makes a lot of sense for people to do that, okay? All right, so let's go to a question. Doug, who do we have?
We have Diane with not a car buying, but maybe a car dispensing tip.
Mm-hmm. If you have a friend and she has a car with 2,000, 25,000
Diane, what are you doing? Who are you asking for, Diane? What's her name?
Her name is Val.
So Val doesn't have the courage.
Val has another question she wants.
Oh,
she's trying to find a new car.
What do you think I should do with the car? Dump it? Throw it over the river? Is it leaking oil? It's talking to her while she's being over it.
What's the year? What are we looking at?
It's probably about 1980 something.
And it's a 1980.
1994.
And how many miles on this 1994?
25.
Did you know that a few years ago they had a cash for clunker deal? Were you in the country at that time? I'm just telling you, that would have been
trying to fix the car during that time.
I know. Okay, so what do? Listen, it's a clunker. I mean, not to speak poorly about your car. It's lived its useful life. So that's a fair way. So you've got choices. We can fill it with soil and use it as a potting plant. That's option one. We can donate it if you'd like, in any kind of charity. They'll take it and they'll give you a couple $100.
What about just dumping it over the river?
You don't do that. Environmental concerns. We don't want to dump it over the river. But you can salvage the car also. Salvaging a car, bringing it, you can get a few $100s in scrap metal, right, if you want to do it. And let me tell you something else also, very, very important and serious, right? Dealers will also take anything off your hands. You have an older car, they will show you $300 or $400 in trade value to earn your business. What's an aside from that? Let's just say that you were going to get $500 whether you donated it and $500 whether you traded it. Let's say they were the same, okay? The question would become, is it really important you emotionally to donate? Like, do you feel good? You said no. I saw the face. Well, if that's the case, then the trade benefits you because the way the new title tax works, you pay title tax on the car you're buying less the trade. So that car that has $500 lowers the amount that you're getting taxed. Which is why, before you sell a car privately, before you donate it, before you sell it outright to CarMax, and not to knock my friends at CarMax, but if I sell it to CarMax and I go next door to Enterprise and I buy a car, I lose the tax savings. It's smarter for me to tell my friends at Enterprise, work with me because I got this deal and I want you to work with me, and they will. Okay? And the reason you do that is you get another 6.5%. That's the current title tax. Okay, so there's a quick tip for you. We got another question?
And yeah, Val has another one because she, I think, maybe has picked something out to replace this wonderful car.
Yes, I'm thinking of buying a car out of state. Tell me if it's a good, you think it's good or not.
Why are we going out of state?
Because the cars that I saw in state all looked terrible, and I found a couple of nice cars out of state. Like Florida.
Do you know what I'm thinking? This is like a woman who will only date a man who lives in another country. Well, there are no good men here? There are no good cars here? Val, really, there are no good cars in the entire state.
I have a specific look I want for the car.
And men, right?
Woman, yes.
Okay, so what kind of car are we looking at?
BMW.
What kind?
325 coupe, 225i coupe.
What year are you looking for?
210.
Okay, so the car that she's describing is a 3-year-old car. That is not a difficult car to find, just so you know. If you're looking for a 2 or 3-year-old car and you can't find it, and let's say you went to Auto Trader and you searched the entire metro, the next thing I would do is I would go to a dealer and I would ask him to locate me the car. Why? Now, don't give me the, I ate the lemons, don't give me the look. Here's why. Let me tell you why I'm protecting you. If you buy the car out of state, you're not going to get any of the recourse, the remedies that you would get if you buy it in state. And the risk is stronger. So buying out of state comes with tons of risk. I would tell you, there's very few times that it makes sense for you to ever travel out of state for a car. My first answer is always going to be no, unless you can convince me otherwise, okay? If it was so specific and so exotic, we could go do that. It's just a 3 Series. So it's a beautiful car, but we can find you one, okay? All right. We have one more. Oh, by the way, Doug, your grandmother, Gwen Caswell, says hello, and I know she's listening, and I want to tell her that she says you're doing a great job.
Good afternoon, Gideon. We got a gentleman right here who wants to ask a question.
Okay, I got 2 cars when I get ready to trade. I like to trade, and I'd like to know the best way to get the most out of them when buying a new or a used vehicle when I get ready to do that.
Okay, so you want to know, is the value going to be different if it's new, like when you're trading towards new or used, or I want to make sure I answer your specific question.
Well, I just want to know what's the best way to get the most out of these 2 vehicles when I go to trade them in.
Okay, so we're looking for maximum value. Here's the first thing. By the way, what's your name?
Butch.
Butch, I thank you for coming on air. Butch came up to me, by the way, and I threatened him and cajoled him to ask his question on air. So I appreciate you doing that. And here's something that's very funny. You can trade in as many cars as you'd like towards another car. Some people think you can only trade 1 for 1. You can't. You can do 2 for 1, or 3 for 1, or 4 for 1. So you can actually trade both of those vehicles towards one car. You could trade in, you ready for this? A boat, a plane, a motorcycle, a horse, a cow, a tractor. The dealer doesn't care. If they can put a value on it, they will take it in on trade. I'm being serious, so you know that. If you have 2 vehicles, you're going to want to know the value of the car. What you do first is you go online to Kelley Blue Book, KBV.com, look up the value. But there's more you have to do. You need to make sure, because the dealer's going to pull a Carfax or an auto check, you have to pull one on your own car to make sure it doesn't say anything bad or untrue about it. Right? Because you're going to get in and want to trade it, say, here's my car. The very first thing the dealer does is pulls a Carfax and says, Martin, how many people died in the wreck? Okay, because they're going to want to know what happened on the crash. And if there is none, you want to make sure to correct it with them beforehand. So you pull a Carfax on it. You bring any books and records that you have, any keys. Keys, books, records, tools, very expensive to replace. If you've ever bought a car and tried to go get another key, especially today with those chip keys, they're like $150. So bring your keys, because the dealer will ding you if you don't have all your keys and all your books and stuff like that. And they'll give you more money if you do, because you have the original stuff. So knowing the value, making sure there are no accidents, and having your books and keys. And the last thing is an obvious thing, but it's a life experience thing. Every car dealer in America can tell you a clean car receives more money than a dirty car. Wash it. Because if you ask a salesman or a manager to go outside and praise something, and it's got, and I've seen this, dirty diapers, or it's got bugs, or it's got food, or it's got a skanky smell, they're not going to offer as much as one that looks like they can sell it. Right? So clean your car. Very, very obvious. No different than clean your house before you sell your house. Clean your car before you try to sell your car, because you are selling it to the dealer. All right? Let's try to take another question if we can. Yeah.
And one from Denise here about maybe in the in-between period, right?
So you go to the dealership and they say, oh, well, you already decided. Go ahead, take it home overnight and bring it back tomorrow. Is that a good idea? And if so, what's the liability?
All right, so what Denise is talking about is called the puppy dog close. Bring the puppy dog home. The kids will love it. Okay, right? Because how do you bring the dog home and then bring the dog back? Right? Because now what happens, Denise, when you go home, what are you going to do with that car? You're going to show your friends. You're going to show your family. You're going to go, oh, Val, what do you think of my new car? Don't I look cute? Right? So they're counting on that. It's actually a very smart sales technique from the standpoint of giving you what's called an extended test drive. A mistake. Let me give you, I'm going to tell you 2 things, okay? One mistake. Most consumers don't test drive enough vehicles. The internet is the secret of getting a good price, but the internet treats everything like a commodity. Don't assume because the dress looked good on the mannequin that it's going to look good on you. You have to drive it. I have friends call me all the time and say, Adam, I'm looking at this car. What should I do? I say, have you driven it? No. I say, drive it, and here are 2 or 3 others I want you to drive. Because you'll either rule it in or rule it out. You have to drive the car. All cars drive differently. This is new or used, I don't care. Because a used car especially, does it creak, does it rattle, does it smell, does it stall? A new car, does it shift right, does it feel comfortable, does it fit my body? We all are built differently. If you're older, is it easy to get in and out of? You know, if it's too low, and you'll see that when you're driving the car a little bit of time, and I think the dealer would be smart to let you have an extended ride with it. Now, the point 2 was, what's my liability? If you take a car in a test drive, an extended drive, or you even buy a car, you're going to sign a document called a borrowed vehicle agreement, a BVA, or it's also sometimes called a bailment agreement. Now, here's what it means. It means I'm lending this to you. If anything happens, you're responsible. It's like you're renting the car. Now, I said if it's an extended test drive and when you buy it, somebody should say, well, Adam, why would I sign a rental agreement if I just bought the car? Because they're saying in that agreement, if your financing is not approved, you were renting it. So that way when you come back and they say, Martin, I couldn't get your financing approved, you say, okay, here are the keys. They say, fine, by the way, you owe me $320 for the time you were using my car. Ooh. Okay, so to answer your question, if you take a car from a dealership, you're responsible for the car. The flip side is, anybody who has challenges with their credit, anybody who has a concern, the way you protect yourself from that scenario, and also the way you put tremendous pressure on the dealer, is you tell the dealer, I will take delivery when my financing is approved. Say, I'm not picking it up. Because the salesman's going to be like, take it home, take it home, take it home. You say, that's great, I will. When you do your job, I will take it home. When you get me approved, I will take it home. Now they'll work harder to get your deal approved. Now you won't have the problem of getting that uncomfortable phone call, please bring it back, or I hate to tell you the rate change, or you need to come in with more money. Right? So you ever have people know those questions. The only way you eliminate that is you make sure it's approved before you come home. Okay? You have another question?
He's been in your examples a bunch. He wants to ask you his question.
All right, Martin, go ahead.
Okay, Adam. Do you recommend using car buying services like those offered by Costco, whereby they give you a letter and you go to a dealer and you take the letter and it guarantees you a certain amount off the actual price of the car?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no harm in it at all. That's a pre-negotiated price. It's the same sort of deal like Associated has with car finders, right? And you also have one with Enterprise where you guys have these deals where they get money off.
Right.
But what's your deal with Enterprise, for example?
I'd have to spend, I think it's $500 off the trade-in, or $500 more on your trade-in, right, Ben?
It's either or. It's either $50 plus $500.
So you get another $500 by using the service. And car finders, I think, makes a couple $100 also. They give to the
Gas cards.
right. Gas cards, they give extra money.
We'll match any trade-in as well. We'll give you
Yeah. So these services, there are more benefits and pluses too. There's no harm in doing it. When we're looking at buying the car, we're always looking, and we're going to use math, what's our best deal, right? If I have somebody, like if you called me and I pre-negotiated the deal for you, isn't that easier?
Yes.
Yeah, and it allows you to focus on, does the car fit for your family, your lifestyle, and your budget, and it takes some of the fear away, are we spending too much for that particular car? Okay? So, how we doing? We're doing good.
Maybe time to squeeze 1 or 2 more in. We got Jesse here with a good question about conservation.
Adam, I'd like to know some insight, please, on how smart is a smart car, or like a Mini Cooper.
Well, as far as smart in what way? Smart in like easy to park?
No.
Or smart in,
Smart on the road. Well,
Are you concerned about safety, fuel, safety? Okay. I am not Albert Einstein, but I can tell you physics. It's very simple, and I mean no disgrace to the folks at Smart or anyone else. It's very simple. The smaller cars take a bigger brunt in an accident. The larger the car, the safer you are, as a matter of physics. You have to bear that in mind. And I tell you this not to knock a brand. And you know, if you know me, I don't push brands one way or the other. I want to know whatever it is you want to buy, but I have to tell you facts so you can balance them out. I personally, now I'm giving you my values, I would never put my child in a car that small. Because I always think about, like I would tell you, if you got into a car accident, what car would you want to be in? And that's the question we should always be asking ourselves. Listen, when we come back, we'll talk more about safety and the ways you can go see whether the car you're looking to buy is in fact safe. I'm Adam Goldfein. You're listening to the third annual Car Buying Clinic, sponsored by Here at News Talk.